I don't have any Ferrari merch or Charles Leclerc merch, so we'll have to settle for my only red t-shirt, and let's talk about the Monaco Grand Prix! Going into the weekend, we got the McLaren Senna livery, which I'm honestly not a huge fan of. I think there's too much yellow, not enough green, but the team kit is very nice. I love the team kit, and their special helmets, Lando's and Oscar's. Beautiful colors, beautiful designs, beautiful tribute as well to Senna, who holds the record for the most wins in Monaco with 6 wins, 5 of them for the McLaren team. Of course, this year being the 30-year anniversary of Senna's death, so that was very beautiful and nice to see. And the race suits, oh my god, they're also really pretty, in my opinion at least. That's, I think, pretty much it from things that happened before the weekend. And if I said last week that it is hard to overtake at Imola, it's 10 times harder in Monaco. It's such a tight and narrow circuit, and with this generation of cars which are bigger, turns are very tricky. You're getting flashback out of the tunnel into the Nouvelle chicane, so just not crashing into a wall is a challenge in itself. I mean, we did get multiple drivers on the radio saying, "I've hit the wall," over the weekend, so overtaking is nearly impossible. So that makes the race, again, very dependent on strategy with tires and pit stops, but mostly qualifying in Monaco, specifically this one, which we'll get to why in a second. But yeah, free practice, all 3 were like mixed results. Red Bull didn't seem strong. Charles seemed very fast. And then we had a very tight quali. Q1 we had Zhou, Bottas, Checo, Logan and Alonso knocked out. Checo qualifying P18 behind Logan Sargent in a Williams? What? Then we had in Q2 Kevin, Stroll, Danny, Nico and Ocon out, which seems fitting. And then in Q3, Max qualified 6th. He just couldn't put the lap in. He hit the wall on his last attempt. We just said how mostly everyone said they hit the wall at one point. And Charles got pole. Oh my god. And he was pole by a small margin, but compared to everyone else's interval between each other. Like, Charles took pole by I think a 10th and something, but then between Oscar, who got P2, Carlos P3, Lando P4, and George P5, it was like thousands of a seconds between all of them. So Charles was again very on point, very fast, and because Monaco is mostly qualifying, and because he was very strong in practice as well, we all anticipated a Charles win, but I was scared because there's the Monaco curse with Charles. He never got on the podium until now. He DNF'd his 2 first races here, and then he did not start in 2021 when he was on pole. Oh my god. And then in 2022, he was on pole. Stay out. He was doing great. And then Ferrari messed up the pit stop. Oh my god. Monaco is like such a place where a lot of pit stop shenanigans happen. And like, this is not the place to do that. This is the wrong place to do that, because if you miss something with the pit stop, you cannot undo that. You can't fix that with race pace. Again, as I said, nearly impossible to overtake. So you cannot mess a pit stop in Monaco. And like, they always do. They always do. All the teams in all the racing series. So they messed up the pit stop. Oh, and then in 2023, he finished 6th. So this time, we were all hoping for a redemption, and we got it. Oh my god. But wait. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? Oh, and after qualifying, both Haas were disqualified from quali because they had a DRS infringement. Like, they didn't measure from the correct place something, and yeah, they got disqualified. So now we go for the race. Oh my god. Okay, so lap 1, Charles starts off very good. He gets away pretty easily, not really challenged by Oscar, but Oscar is challenged by Carlos, who gets a better start than him. They have a little contact in turn 1, which gives Carlos a puncture. Then we have an Alpine incident between Ocon and Pierre with a very out of place overtake attempt from Ocon, which put him out of the race and also gave him a penalty, a 10-second penalty, but since he DNF'd, it is converted to a 5 grid place penalty for Canada. So was it worth it, Esteban? And also, like, his team principle is like, there will be consequences.
That is Esteban Ocon chancing one at Portier. The 2 Alpines come together.
And then we had the red flag from the K-Mag Checo Nico accident, which looked huge. Oh my god, they cut to it. I thought like the red flag was about Carlos, who was stopped on track, and then they cut to just 3 cars disheveled. Checo's car, insane, like all 4 wheels off, it's all smushed. Oh my god, it was so scary to see, but he was just like walking, talking so fine, which is great. All of them were. But yeah, so that's the lap 1 action, which was more interesting than the entire race later. So Carlos does manage to like crawl into the pits with his punctured tire, and because they haven't gone through like a timed section of the track before the red flag, the restart order is the original start order, so Carlos is back at P3, which is kind of a shame. I really wanted a double McLaren podium, but that's okay. But yeah, Carlos was very lucky with that red flag and the steward's decision to bring back the original order. It's kind of like you know, in the game if you crash, you can turn like flashbacks on, so you just press the square button and it just flashbacks you, and you can restart from like before you crashed. So that was Carlos. The restart was clean, nothing happened, and from that point on, everyone was just managing their pace and their tires. But that red flag eliminated the mandatory pit stop, because you can basically do the whole race on either a medium tire or a hard tire, and with the red flag, everyone got a chance to switch tires, so no one has to do another pit stop at all throughout the race. So the whole dependency on pit stops in Monaco is pretty much gone. It did make the race more boring than usual, but as a Charles fangirl, it made me very happy, because A, there's no risk of being undercut or overcut, and B, Ferrari can't mess up a pit stop, so it's just like dependent on Charles driving. And it did kind of turn into mind games between some of the teams and drivers, with like, maybe I am going to the pits, so like if I have a big enough gap for the person behind, and then I can catch up to you and maybe overtake you, but that didn't really work for anyone. Like Max and Lewis pitted, but nothing changed in the order. No one overtook. There were some like few overtakings at the back of the field with like Zhou and Bottas and Logan, but that's pretty much all the overtakes we had this weekend. So the remaining 76 laps were pretty much just praying that nothing goes wrong. So it was very boring in terms of racing, but it was very exciting and very emotional to see Charles finally do it and win his whole race. Oh my god, are you kidding me? What a redemption after 2022. For the first time in, I think, forever, a Monegasque wins at the Monaco Grand Prix, which is insane. I was obviously crying when he crossed the finish line, and then I was crying some more hearing his radio message and how emotional he was, and then talking about how he thought about his father, and he was welling up like in the last few laps, struggling to see from tears. Oh my god, he was there from the start in this weekend. He was fast, consistent. It's so deserved and it's so emotional, and I'm so happy that this is the full like F1 season that I fully tune into. I remember in 2023 when I was like really getting into F1, starting to like actually watch the races. On my notes app, I wrote things I would give anything to see in F1, and 2 of them already happened. It was Lando winning his first race, which I got to see, and then Charles Leclerc winning in Monaco, which we got to see. And also at the beginning of the year, everyone thought this was just gonna be a dominant year for Red Bull and Max. He was gonna win everything, and he will win a lot. Don't worry about that. He's also gonna win the championship. Red Bull's gonna win the championship. But everything is so tight right now. Everything is so close. Even if Max wins everything, I think he's gonna need to fight for those wins. And I think that what matters in F1, right? Like obviously you want your favorite driver or drivers to win, but when you can see that they can challenge Max for wins, that's exciting. That's incredible. And it gives us good racing between those leading teams and drivers. So this is turning out to be a very interesting season, way more than anyone could have anticipated, I think. I would also like to mention that with Charles' wins, we obviously heard the Monegasque anthem and the Italian anthem, which I love both. There's such a vibe. I would love to hear them more. So apart from the win, which we're obviously all excited for, I hope you are as well. I hope, yes, you're watching at home. I hope you're excited just as much as I am. It was also a good result for Yuki, Alex, and Pierre, who got valuable points for their teams. And also, I totally forgot. Oh my god. Talking about home races. So, okay, backstory. Oscar Piastri, obviously Australian, his home race is in Melbourne, and then came along the Chinese Grand Prix, and he tweeted something like that his great-grandfather is Chinese, so this is technically 1/16 his home race. And then when they got to Imola last week, he said that he also has Italian roots, so this is also his own Grand Prix, which also would make Monza his own Grand Prix. And then in the beginning of this week, he tweeted, "Searching my family tree to find any trace of Madagascar roots." And then Charles replied, "I can adopt you if needed." Which Oscar then replied, "Call me Oscar Jack Piastri Leclerc. Want to meet my new brother Leo on Thursday if we can hop to McLaren." Oh my god. So that's the beginning of the joke. And it's the joke that keeps on giving because everyone just went along with it. Oscar's mom, who is an icon, I highly recommend following her, Nicole Piastri, she replied to Charles, "I have some questions." And then F1 in FP1, Oscar was P2. So in the graphic and like in the timing sheets, they wrote Oscar Piastri Leclerc. Oh my god. And like all the reporters and all the commentators, everyone was in on it. They were asked about it in quali, like they qualified Charles P1 and Oscar P2, so like they wrote front row lockout for the Leclerc family. And then after the race, Oscar posted, "What a week, adoption and now a podium." So it's just like, I don't know how not serious this sport is. I love it. And he also posted, "Think I'll just keep declaring every race my home race," which he should. Go find some Canadian roots. And also Arthur Leclerc, Charles' brother, also commented on it. And also like just the fact that he was there, it was very sweet with him also reacting to Charles' win, and very emotional as well. And just like, you know, Monaco is like such a small tiny place. Even the prince cried. The whole state of Monaco, the Principality of Monaco, the whole racetrack is pretty much all of Monaco. So like every single person in Monaco obviously knows about the Monaco Grand Prix and obviously knows about Charles. So it's like an entire country that is happy for you right now. Like even, okay, Max, when he wins in the Netherlands, I don't think every single person in that country cares or knows because it's a big country. But like Monaco, everyone knows and everyone was so happy. The marshals, when they did the national anthem in the beginning, like before the race, it's always like the drivers and then like the prince and the princess and like the royal family or whatever, and then just Charles. It's such like a huge moment for him. And also something that I kind of forgot, that a lot of drivers live in Monaco, like move there, like Lando, Max, Alex, I think George as well, and Fernando, and probably more because it's a tax haven, but let's not talk about that. So like technically they can also claim that as their home Grand Prix, but like it is Charles' home, like it is home. So that just like adds to the magnitude of the emotions of his win. One thing before I leave you to be, there's been a lot of discussion over the years whether Monaco should stay on the calendar, on the F1 calendar. And I don't have like a definitive answer, but I do have an opinion on that. First of all, it's iconic, it's historic, and it's beautiful. So like, why not? But also I think that like Monaco is obviously not as entertaining as other races, but I do think it showcases the talent that the drivers have, because there's no margin for error in Monaco. You can't lose focus for a second or else you'll end up in a wall. So for 78 laps to be focused, that takes immense amount of like mental energy. And like, even though they're not pulling like a lot of G's compared to other races, like it's a very not smooth ride in Monaco. So I feel like that takes a lot from you physically as well. And it probably gives us the best qualifying sessions of the entire season. So that's what I have to say about it. Do I have anything else to say? I'm actually editing, but I do have more stuff to say. First of all, I also watched F2, which was crazy in the race. Zach O'Sullivan, who qualified P15, won the race. I don't think that's ever been done before. Like, I don't know in F2, but in F1, no one has ever won in Monaco outside of the top 3. What? So that's all like thanks to pit stop strategy. They didn't pit him until like the very end, and there was a safety car which got him a free pit stop, and he came out of the pits first. So he won. So Monaco can be interesting if you have pit stops, which we didn't have for our race this week. And also the other thing is that I know the Indy 500 was also yesterday. I didn't watch it because I don't watch IndyCar yet. I'm trying to get into it, but let me take my time with that. I'm kind of overwhelmed with the amount of racing series that I want to get into. But I am familiar with the McLaren team on Indy, and Pato Award, of course. He's right up my alley. And he got P2. So devastating. Oh my god. I took a TikTok break and I just saw like interviews with him and him hugging like the McLaren team. Oh, my heart breaks for him. It's, I think, his second try, or maybe not his second try, but I think this is the second time he came in second. Okay, so yeah, that's the second time he came in second, and it's actually so much worse than I thought. He was leading the race and then was overtook in the last corner in the last lap. Like, if you don't know, Indy 500 is like the race in IndyCar. It's also part of the Triple Crown, which Monaco is also a part of, along with the 24 Hours Le Mans. And like, it's so devastating to like be that close and not win. I think the worst positions to be in, like in a competition, is P2 and P4, because P2 is like, I almost won, and P4 is like, I was almost on the podium. P1 is like, yeah, I won. And then P3 is like, yes, I made it on the podium. P2 and P4 are fucking devastating. So kind of broke my heart there. And also David Malukas, which was fired from McLaren earlier this year because of an injury he had, which also broke my heart. He is, as well as Pato, right up my alley. Kind of like a Lando Oscar combination. And yeah, maybe I shouldn't get into IndyCar because all it gives me is heartbreak. But maybe, I don't know, whatever. Watch the memes. Bye.